On March 25th of this year, Goodwin requested 269 additional days for their contract. That conveniently got them to the day that they were actually finished. James and I met last week with our inspector and the city's inspector, and we all agreed on giving them 95 additional days. And that is based on the schedule that they gave us, because it acknowledged the rock, the additional rock. So we don't think we should extend it beyond that. So we're looking at substantial completion September 5th of 24 and final completion October 10th. They actually hit substantial completion on December 23rd, which results in 109 days of liquidated damages at $1,500 per day. Then it was another 43 days before they got to final completion, and that's at $2,000 a day. So we are recommending liquidated damages in the amount of $249,500. That's where we are now.
Right. What did you say that outstanding bill was?
The outstanding
for the rock
work for them.
What was the total on that?
Well, right now they've been paid 3.08 million. They have $87,041 left on the contract. The excess rock was $230,000. So take the 87 out of that, and that's where they are above and beyond. And then the liquidated damages on top of that. So,
could you repeat that liquidated damage number?
So the 249,500, is that right, Mr. Prater?
Yes. And that was my best estimate. I was getting constant emails from the contractor today while I was trying to do this. So please don't hold me to that, but it's a substantial amount.
So what steps do we need to take, if any, in order to get that payment?
My next step is to talk to our in-house counsel and get his recommendation. Personally, I've been in the engineering field for over 30 years, and I've never had to force liquidated damages. So that's new for me. I guess James can get with your city attorney and see what the recommendation is, but we will be coming back with full recommendations.
So when they requested the extension of 260 days, was that correct?
269.
269 days, thank you. When they made that request, I understand how it conveniently lines up. But aside from that lining up for their financial sheets, what is their reasoning for asking for that?
Some of it was legitimate. They requested 150 days for rock excavation, which was, from what we could tell, much longer than it took them. 30 days for adding fire hydrant extensions. The hydrants provided by the city as part of the contract did not have extensions on them, and because of conflicts with utilities, water line had to be deeper, so they had to get this extra. They said 7 days for work on water services. I'm not going to touch that one. 75 days for sitting around waiting for changes due to utility conflicts, and 7 days to remove and replace the fence at the RV dealership. That was something that was not constructed at the time the plans were drawn up, so it was not part of the contract. What we have recommended is 8 days for rock instead of 150, and that's because of the rock that was after the last schedule they gave us. 30 days for the fire hydrants, we concurred with that. 45 days for utility excavations ahead of time, potholing, and then 12 days for the RV dealership because they had to go in, not only work on the fence, but they had to redo the gravel in that lot. So we came up with 95 days.
By the way, I appreciate very much you letting the council know what's up,
Certainly.
where we are. Aside from us just being aware,
Mhm.
which I appreciate, do you need this council to do anything at this point in time, or do we wait for council?
I don't believe so. No. No. They've been paid everything that's been requested so far. They've given us the rock numbers total. We just went up to the 500 cubic yards that was in the contract. So we've released the retainage, 5% retainage. So we're just holding on to that amount for the rock, which 87,000, I believe. No, I'm sorry, 229,919, or something like that.
Thank you, sir.
So-
Any other questions, council?
Thank you.
All right, thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, Mr. Gregory.
Okay, next we'll move on to the building report. Mr. Latham?
Looking at the building report, it's doing really well in the commercial side of things, as I mentioned before. And we're kind of staying put right now on the housing area. We should be doing some kind of final on Bariloche, the first phase of it, here coming up, maybe in a couple of weeks. And therefore, I believe most all the lots in that first phase have been purchased. And we hope to see some permits issued in that area. Anybody have any questions on that? Okay, moving on in the planning side of things. We're having two conditional uses. One's a Brett property at 2021 South Penalta. And the other conditional use is Premier Towing at 3617 Old Highway 68. I don't have any details on it. If you have any questions on that, Brad can come up and tell you a little bit about that. The rezoning Philip Meyer Holding, this was actually on for the last time, and they didn't get their letters out for notification, so it's back on here. That will be on the Planning Commission. And then there's a variance for a swimming pool at 364 Penzo Avenue. They'll also be discussing some zoning amendments, as you can see in 153.210 plus 153.181. And that will require a public hearing, so there'll be some things we'll have to do there before those amendments are proceeding on. Do want to update you on the waste management large scale. Brad and I and Zach, and hopefully the fire chief, we are headed out tomorrow at 10 o'clock to make our inspections out there. So 4 areas we're going to be looking at, according to the large scale, will be the landscaping, will be the detention areas required, be the entrance road. And the one thing that I do want the fire chief to look at, and maybe he's already tested it, but they had to put an actual container in the ground to be able to support the fire protection needed because Washington Water didn't have the pressure out there to be able to supply it. So those are the 4 areas according to the large scale that we'll be doing an inspection on. Anybody have any questions? That's tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
I have a question about that conditional use, item number 1 under planning. I don't know if you can talk about
Brad,
this.
you want to come up? I have a question on that conditional use.
It's a quick question. Have we seen this before?
It was a rezone,
That was a rezone.
correct.
And this is a conditional use? Okay, thank you. And what's the rezone on 3, the Philip Meyer Holdings?
The reason that did not come before planning commission as of yet, the letters that went out, they're splitting 2 different tracks for 2 different zoning, and they only got 1 zoning classification on the letter, so we postponed that until this month.
Okay, and what is the rezone?
They're going from agriculture to RE and R2, I believe.
Okay, have we seen that here?
No.
Oh, that's not the one we saw here. Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on to streets and stormwater. Thursday, it's Thursday at 10:30, we'll be going before the Northwest Arkansas Regional Planning, introducing our request for the $1.5 million were needed for the intersection out here for right-of-way and utility location, along with the TAP grant for the pedestrian crossings there at Barrington and Fletcher. Fletcher Avenue, Zach's feverishly trying to get the plans completed. I believe he thinks maybe sometime next week he'll have them finalized. So that's moving along really well. Scott, Scott Armani and I attended a pre-construction meeting on March 20th with RDOT. I gotta get some water just a second. Yeah, we attended a pre-construction meeting on March 20th with RDOT. This is for the overlays at Bandini and Zupo. The contractor had 3 that they'll be doing. One's in some projects in Lincoln, Greenland, and Tontitown. I think we're going to be number 2. I believe they're probably in Greenland right now. So we'll give you an update as soon as we know for sure when they'll be here. Community building, as you know, the architect contract's on the agenda tonight. Managani Street upgrade. We had a pre-bid meeting today, and we had 3 of the 6 contractors who have picked up bids for that. So the bid opening is actually the 29th of this month. So the next cow we'll actually bring to you who we recommended for that project. I do want to update you on the Clink stoplight. I did have to get a hold of the contractor today, and he indicated that it looks like the majority of work's going to do in August, or not August, July. You see some action out there at the end of June. A lot of construction going on in July, so it should be sometime the 1st of August that that light will be operational. On the grants, just kind of an update where we are. You know, we applied for a fire truck grant through FEMA. There's a lot of, I wouldn't say chaos, but most of these grants, especially FEMA and the infrastructure grants, are all being reviewed by Dodge. So the fire truck probably will be sometime suggested in September. And the RAISE grant, which is the one on Barrington, would be sometime by July 1st. So that's kind of an update of where we are on the grants specifically. On the stormwater, we did get a quote for the work on South Penalto. It's a little higher than what we could do, so we're going to have to bid that out. So Zach will be preparing those documents to be able to start construction on that. There are some smaller little things that are, drainage projects kind of pop out here and there. So we're in the process of addressing those, especially when we have kind of rain events like we did a couple of weeks ago. So anybody have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Latham. We'll move on to comments from citizens. Is there anyone that would like to come up and speak about anything that is not on the agenda?
Good afternoon. Kenneth Lovett, 18702 Clearwater Road. On January 14th, and I apologize ahead of time, I'm probably going to make some folks mad, but I'm telling it as it is. So, on January 14th, 2025, I was exposed 3 different times while driving on Upper Acres Road. I made a call the same day at 7:21 p.m. to 911 in Washington County. The following week, I reached out to the Washington County Emergency Management Operations, John Luther. Instead of him responding, Washington County Judge Patrick Deakins responded that all my questions should be addressed to his office. I've requested assistance from the emergency management concerning the response to vapors from the landfill. The judge explained all calls should be addressed to 911. With that info, I reached out for the information concerning my call the previous week. The information I received from the sheriff's office when inquiring was your request was received and reviewed. Attached is the only related document or audio record that exists at the sheriff's office. The call was handled by Central EMS Fire. The only record they had was the call, my 911 call, recorded. I contacted Central EMS and received the following reply. This is their reply. I reached out to my chief deputy, Shauna Ross, who spoke to the battalion chief, Mandy Moore, who reviewed the 911 recorded call. Tontitown City Fire Department was dispatched, but since no one was reported sick or injured on the scene, we were not dispatched. So I reached out to the fire department, and on January, this is from the report, on January 24th, 2025 at approximately 19:26 p.m., engine 3352 and command 3392 responded to the area of South Penalto and Arbor Acres for a smell of gas call. My call was not due to gas, it was due to hazardous vapor issues. There's a difference. The report stated upon arrival, and that's not the fire department's fault, that's the dispatch fault for calling, in my opinion. They called a smell of gas, and it's not the same stuff. The report stated upon arrival, no smell of gas could be located. 3392 checked the area from South Penalto to Harbor Road, and engine 3352 checked South Penalto to Highway 412. Nothing was found. At approximately 19:37 p.m., all Tontitown units returned to service. Can I take just a second? If the Tontitown Fire Department is charged with response for hazardous vapors, first, our dispatch needs to get it together on what it is. It's Washington County Dispatch. They need a hazardous materials training. I don't know if they have anybody on the crew that knows anything about hazardous materials. They need to be aware of the issues of the hazardous vapors coming and being released from equipment at EcoVista, and they need equipment to test and train and test properly. If you just send your fire department out there to be sniffing, you're exposing them just like you're exposing everybody else. So I'd appreciate it if y'all take this in advisement. We got problems with our county dispatch. We got problems with our county judge, in my opinion. So thank
Thank you,
y'all.
Mr. Lovett. Is there anyone else, any comments from any other citizen? Seeing none, do we have any online? All right, moving on. I'm seeking approval by the City Council to waive the 3 reading rule for all ordinances on the agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Amber,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Misty.
Yes.
All right, old business, there is none. We'll move on to new business. First on the list is our Approval of an ordinance to amend section 153.168 food vendors. We discussed this. Mr. Burris had actually asked me about the businesses. Right now, we have 8 businesses that have permits. That is brick and mortar businesses. 5 food trucks that are actually operating. We had 1 food truck that was gone for 2 months. So I am asking for this to be updated as we discussed in our COW.
Mayor Russell, you said that was 5 trucks?
Correct.
Number 6 is operating now, is it not?
Yes, that is correct. Oh, no, hang on just a moment. I'm sorry. 1. Because we had 1 that was there and 1 that they just left. So they were gone, and I was told that they moved back to Springdale. I had another one that was moved back to Rogers. So we have actually 5 that are operating right now.
That new truck, Larry's Limited. That's a good one.
Okay. Yes, do I have any citizens? Well, first of all, would you mind reading the ordinance, please?
City of Tontitown, Washington County, Arkansas, an ordinance to amend section 153-168 outdoor food vendors of the Tontitown Municipal Code, declaring an emergency and for other purposes.
Thank you, Imogen. Just to let everyone know, our Justin Eichmann, our city attorney, is out tonight, and he has graciously sent Imogen, your last name, please, to come tonight to fill in his place. So thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it. Okay, so do I have any citizens that would like to comment on this?
Good evening, Bill Hudson, 974 Harmon. I sat through the last Cal meeting when this was discussed, and something that struck me, and now that I've seen the old section, in the old section there was, and I'm talking about section 3 on Exhibit A, the city will have no more than 6 scratched out, 10 outdoor food vendor permits issued at any one time, with a limit of 1 permit issued per business location and/or business license. That last comment has been scratched from the amendment. And so what you're looking at now is an ordinance or an amended section that does not limit how many permits a business may purchase. In fact, in the amendment, it says businesses may purchase more than 1 permit. So you have 10 permits. A business could potentially purchase all 10 permits.
If you will look on the second page, it does limit them at that point.
Limit them to what?
2
2
per
per
business. Yes.
per
Is it 3 right there, maximum of 2 outdoor food vendors
Correct.
operating on
D.
site
Correct, thank you.
at
Yes.
any one time per day per permitted business location?
So if you'll turn your paper, go to,
C3?
yes, C.
Or
D-
no,
D3.
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 3,
Go to D3 on the back,
okay?
and if you will see the maximum of 2 outdoor food vendor operating on site. So it's the same as it is currently.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Yes, sir. Any other citizen comments? Council?
So to Mr. Hudson's point, I just want to make sure that I fully understand this. So we can have 10 of these. There's only 1 per business, but each business can have 2 trucks. Is that correct?
No. Each business can only have 2 trucks,
Okay,
1 permit.
but they would have to get a permit for each.
each truck.
Correct.
Okay. And no business can have more than 2.
Correct.
Okay. Is that, did that address the gentleman's concern?
So let me explain something really quickly. It's kind of confusing. So the brick and mortar businesses have to have a permit, okay?
So-
The food vendor trucks have to have a business license. They cannot go on the site unless the business, the brick and mortar business has a permit. So they have a permit, and they're allowed two for their businesses.
Okay.
So
So it is confusing, and I understand some of this is just the law, and sometimes that is confusing. Is there any way we can make that less confusing?
we really tried. I mean, we
Okay.
worked on it quite often back and forth, and yes, sir.
If I may, I lived in a small town in Michigan, population 5,000. In that city, there was allowed liquor licenses. There were 5. There was permitted 1 per 1,000 residents. The one business in town that was selling liquor bought all 5 licenses. Never used them. So,
That's exactly why we have it written this way,
okay,
because we thought the same thing.
Yeah.
And so if you turn over to the back, you will see where we got that corrected.
okay. It would have, it seemed, from my opinion, it seemed it would have been simple to have said, businesses may purchase more than 1, but not more than 2.
That's true. We could do that. Council?
I like that.
I'm good with that.
That makes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Council, are you good with that? Any questions?
Changing that.
I like that verbiage.
Just
It's up to
changing
you
that
guys.
wording. That sounds pretty good to me.
Changing
the verbiage?
If it-
Are we?
Yeah, I'm good with the verb.
You can vote to amend that.
Okay, thank you.
I had a question. You said the business that's brick and mortar has to come get the food truck permit.
No, they have to have a specific license, which costs $300 to allow food trucks to be on their
Right, so was that called a food truck permit, so they can have food trucks on their premises?
Yes,
Okay, so they pay how much is that, 300?
$100.
And they have to have a brick and mortar store business operating on the property.
Yes.
So one of the properties that I see in my mind, I feel like has more than one vendor on its property.
I do know what
think-
you're talking about, and there's a lot split there.
Okay, so it's 2 properties,
Correct.
okay?
Which is
Are
allowed,
they the same business on both properties?
no,
So you got one property has food trucks on it, and then you have another lot split with no business on it, a different entity, and it also has an ice truck or an ice machine, which I would assume is a vendor. Somebody's coming up to it, giving it money, it's giving them ice. They're using the ice for whatever they want.
but that's not a food truck.
That's not a food truck.
No.
So neither is like a pet washing.
No, that's
So
not a
that's
food
not
truck.
that's not a food truck or a vending.
Correct.
It's not producing sales tax in the city,
We're only talking about trucks that
provide
produce-
food.
food, correct,
Gotcha.
For human consumption.
for human consumption.
All right.
Thank you, Larry.
But I go back to the point. This said business owns both lots. They're under 2 entities. One does have a building that is, has employees that come to that building and produce a business. The other one, they own the land next to them with nothing on it, but yet they still have 2 food trucks out there in front of it. But what I was told in the cow meeting was a business on the other side of town, closer to 612 and 412 interchange. If they have land out there with no business on it, they're not allowed to get this food truck permit. Yet we have a business here on this side of town that does have that exact same thing. And it's not the same business. We have one business on one side of the land, it has a lot split, and then it has another entity, LLC, attached to that land, and it does have 2 food trucks plus a ice vending machine on it that we're not calling a food truck.
Right. From my understanding, that the businesses are right there together,
Just a split on the.
Correct.
just a split, correct.
I'm just saying, we have something operating that's not to ordinances.
I will ask Mr. Belzner to look into that.
So do we need to make any kind of amendment to add that clarification verbiage on B? Businesses may purchase more than one permit, but no more than two. Is that right?
Yes.
Do we need to do anything other than that?
There's no motion yet, so you
Well,
can
I'll make a
that.
motion
Tell me
that
that.
we approve with that verbiage change on item 2B.
I'll second.
Can I ask one other question about, I noticed that on the permit fee, we've not put an amount in there.
That's
And I know
correct, because I'm sorry, can I?
Go ahead. No,
It's because it was in the wrong section. We're going to do that next. It needs to be in the fee section.
Good enough.
Okay. We'll do that after this one. We'll continue.
I mean, I kind of want to follow up on what Mr. Montez has brought up. I mean, is it problematic, and are we setting a bad precedent by doing this? Or is this something that has to be corrected before we enact this?
No,
I think
that's-
this is just
ordinance?
the number of, I mean,
Permit.
that's a separate issue.
We're just
This is
doing-
just on the permits.
That's,
That's how I'm seeing it.
this doesn't have, but
on the
so
issue
where,
that,
what, and I'm sorry, I'm pleading ignorance on this, but what section of our code deals with the placement of the food trucks once the,
I will have to have Mr. Belzner go and look at that. Basically, this is only changing the 10 to 6.
okay, I'm good with that.
And
So we have
we
to
tried to-
address that other issue at a different,
correct.
okay.
But I will have Mr. Belzner's our code enforcer. I will have him go out there and look at that and check to make sure that everything is correct.
And so if it's a pet washing station or it's an ice truck or whatever, selling popsicles, whatever it happens to be, is there, do we have anything on our books that says that they need to have a business license or where they can and cannot operate? If it's anything else?
For the ice truck or the ice machine, I mean?
If it, not necessarily the ice machine, but if it's anything else. If somebody rolls up a cart and starts selling snake oil in the middle of town,
They have to have business license and
Don't
of course,
drink
the businesses do contact us and let us know if someone's out there on their property. And of course, then we send out the code enforcer.
Okay.
And he looks it up and he's very thorough. He's also an attorney, which is quite helpful. But he looks it up and looks at the codes and goes out and takes care of it.
okay, thank you.
I had a motion and a second. Roll call.
This is for the verbiage change.
Correct.
This is going to be a separate,
The
Vote for
fees
the-
will be separate. It will be next because it was in the
so
wrong
that we're going to
section.
vote for this item
Correct.
with verbal change.
Yes.
Okay.
So we can be clear, where exactly is this change going? What is leaving and what is coming? To be,
A business may purchase more than one permit, but no more than two.
thank you. Councilmember Piazza.
We ready?
Yes.
Daniel,
No.
Misty,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Amber.
Yes.
Motion passes. Emergency clause.
Emergency clause. Do I have a motion?
Make a
Motion to accept the emergency
I'll
clause.
second.
Roll call.
Daniel,
No.
Misty,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Amber.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, we'll move on to B. Okay, so in the first ordinance, they had the $300 fee in there, and that was for 2 food trucks. And in the second ordinance, approval of an ordinance to amend Chapter 155 fees regarding outdoor food vendor annually. We discussed it at the last meeting at the COW, and you wanted to go ahead and leave it as $300 for the food trucks to be on the brick and mortar business or land. So Imogen, would you mind reading that, please?
Yes. City of Tontitown, Washington County, Arkansas, an ordinance amending subpart R of Chapter 15501, fees of the Tontitown Municipal Code, declaring an emergency and for other purposes.
Thank you. Do I have any citizens that would like to comment on this? Seeing none. Council?
Is 300 the right number for that? Is it too high? Is it too low? How do we come up with that number?
That's what was on the previous
I know that that's what
ordinance.
was there before, but I mean, all sorts of things change, including inflation lately. Where do we know where we got that number?
I have no idea. It was before my time.
Okay.
But we did discuss it at the last, at the COW,
Right.
and you had, and I had mentioned that maybe we could drop it down to 150. And because of the inflation, I believe council had all stated that they wanted to leave it at 300 for one.
Yeah.
Is that correct, Mike?
Well, yeah, I think at least 300 for one, but I mean, and I know we discussed it, but I just thought I'd throw it back out there again, if anybody has any thoughts on it. If not, I'm amenable.
Did you want to change it, or do you have any?
I
Thoughts
again,
on that?
I don't necessarily know if that's a right price or not. But if somebody can buy 2 of those permits for $600, it seems like a really reasonable cost, and perhaps, it should be more. I don't know where to go with that. I mean, I could say, sure, 500 a permit, but I don't know.
But
Or
this
per
is to
vendor.
the brick and mortar
Correct.
business. So
Correct.
why would it be in their interest to buy both of them and then not use one?
Well, that's a fair point, but I'm saying, it's
Unless
not
they have a
about that.
vested interest.
It's $300 per vendor, right?
Yeah.
So,
And it was
Per
300 for 2.
correct.
Okay.
So they're,
So it did
it's
double in
doubling
price.
it right now. So
Yeah,
I think
okay.
that's a good balance.
Yeah,
right
again,
now.
I have no idea about that pricing, but sure, if you guys think
We
it's
didn't-
okay, then
We didn't pay to have a study done on it. We just
no, we
pulled it
didn't.
out of the air.
Yeah.
No, it was what was in the code before.
So we're just, I mean, I'm fine with raising it too. That's more money in the bank account for the city, in my opinion. But
I will
again,
tell you
if there's
that,
nothing to back it up, then
I will tell you that the food trucks pay a very, very hefty price to put their trucks on the properties. And
right to the owner of the.
correct.
Mhm.
But they're not paying the $300, the businesses.
They're probably getting it back with the rent.
So I would say, let's leave it at 300 for right now, as the new ordinance we just passed says we can address this again in another year. I quite frankly haven't looked into it to determine whether that fee's fair, unfair, high, low, whatever. So I say we stick with what we decided at the CAL with the 300 and make adjustments in a year if we need to.
I think that sounds good, Mike.
I agree with that assessment.
Make the motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Misty,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Amber,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Larry.
Yes.
Emergency clause.
Make a
Seeking,
motion to approve the emergency clause.
Thank you, Misty. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Misty,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Amber,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Larry.
Yes.
Okay,
Motion passes.
move on to C. Approval of a resolution for architect contract for the community building. Mr. Latham.
Yeah, we introduced this at the COW meeting. I think we had the architect on line for you to hear. Hopefully you'll approve this contract so we get moving on it. If you would like, you could probably make the motion to say the contract doesn't exceed 25,000. No, we talked about the 8 point, I think the contract was 8.5. It's pretty close to 25. I think they would agree with that 25,000 if that's what you desire.
Thank you, Mr. Latham. Do I have any citizens that would like to comment on this? None, any online, James? Council?
You bring up a point there, Mark. Is there any way just to sign the contract and say this, you're doing it for this fixed price?
Yes, according to the scope, I would say yes. I mean, we're probably looking at 25,800. We were shooting for about 300,000 to spend on it.
And that's not currently in this verbiage. The $25,000 cap?
Well, I mean, you can cap it at 25,000. I think it's probably, if you take 8.5 times 300,000 is 25 something. I don't know what it is. I haven't got the
You have to
calculator.
come to us with any,
I would just, you know, I'm
extraneous
just
cost.
throwing it up. I mean, it's if there's any additional work that will be none, that'll have to come back to you all. We'll have to extend the contract. So,
that's kind of in the contract here, right? Or the whatever, yeah.
right.
But we're just making sure it doesn't exceed, that we put limitations
Well,
on
I
it.
mean, you can do that.
Yeah, that's
It doesn't
25,000.
exceed 25,000.
25,500 is the 8.5% of 300.
Okay.
We just don't want to be hit with.
I just recommend that.
I think it's a great idea.
Okay.
How do we add that?
Make a
Would you-
motion
Motion
to
to
approve with
amend
the 8.5%,
Not to exceed
not to exceed, yeah.
Yeah, what they said.
I'll make a motion that we approve this with the condition that we cap it at the 8.5% and not to exceed the $25,000 spending, 25,500.
I will second that motion.
Can I ask one question before we take a vote on that?
Absolutely.
I'm assuming even if we do this, if there are unforeseen circumstances that come about that some reason push the price higher than that, there are ways that they have to deal with it. Will they have to come to us, or can you all just handle that at your level?
I would hope that if it goes more than that, we'll be back in front of you all to get an amendment to the contract. What we're dealing with is, you know, a vacant building that they haven't even done an environmental assessment on it. We don't have any idea what that's going to cost. So, you know, I think they've been up here, they've taken photos, they've done a pretty thorough job of that, and they know how much we would like to spend for it. So.
And you think that's a pretty reasonable, pretty accurate early estimate of what it's going to cost? So we just don't, obviously, I don't think any of us want to be surprised with a bill that's
No,
double that.
what we're hoping to do is get some schematics on it with maybe some nice looking stuff. And then maybe have the foundation come in and have them do a presentation to the people who might, you know, we talked about, you know, if some additional money is needed, maybe we can get a naming rights on the building, and maybe that would accelerate it. Or you got, Larry, you're nodding your head. Does that mean you want to
Business
contribute?
donors. Business
But I
donors.
mean, you know, have the foundation involved in this where if it does exceed that 300,000, this is what it's going to look like. And I think that would work out really well.
Okay. I'm good then. Thank you, Mr. Latham.
Okay, we had a motion, correct, and a second? Yep. Roll call?
Mike,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Amber,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Misty.
Yes.
Motion passes.
We'll move on to D, approval of a resolution to enter contract for Matthias Waterline relocation. James or Mark, which one wants to come up or Brad, whoever. Oh, I thought you were getting up.
The right slide. So this was presented to you at the COW meeting. I wasn't present for that. I don't know how much information you were given. We ended up with a water line on Agnes Drive behind the Matthias properties that was put in, gosh, it's probably been 3 years ago now. But it ended up being in the easement for the Fayetteville water transmission line. So now that it has to be moved, since it was not in its own easement, it has to be moved on our dime. I tried to find a way to do this in-house, and we had just a month or so ago, we lost one of our employees. So, I mean, we could barely do it if we had full staff, but now that we did hire a new person, but they're not trained yet. So it's just getting harder and harder to do any kind of projects in-house. We just don't have the staff to do it. So
That is a pretty big project as well. That would,
yeah, it's about 650 feet of 8-inch water line with several fire line connections in it. So it's going to take, it's going to take a professional crew, probably a couple of weeks to put that in. And because of the urgency to get out of the way of the Fayetteville water line, we just got an estimate from a contractor that we've worked with before, actually did our last repair on the 18-inch water line, and asked him to give us a quote. We did speak to, I know, one other contractor, and they wouldn't even consider it. I mean, it's a big job for a small crew, but it's not a big job for a contractor. So they weren't interested in even bidding on it.
how many bids did you get on this project?
Well, we only received the one.
And you put it out?
No, it was not put out for bid. That's why this is a waiving competitive bidding and contracting with the one that we received a bid for, or a quote from.
But you've worked with these people before, you said?
Yes.
Feel comfortable with the price, the work,
Yeah.
the quality of work, all that good stuff?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't ask any citizens if they had any comments on this. No. Council, any other questions?
I think
Think we're
Mr. Clark
good?
answered mine, so I'm good.
Okay, I'm seeking a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Tim,
Yes.
Amber,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Misty,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Larry.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, we'll move on to E, receipt and acknowledgement of the 2024 water sewer audit completed by Berry and Associates. You should have received an email from Mr. Penalto with that on there. Do I have any questions from citizens on this? And council, just to let you know that this is just something that has to be acknowledged in a council meeting.
So I don't need to make a motion that I acknowledge that it was,
Yes, you do, please.
I'd like to make a motion that I acknowledge that I received that.
Thank you, sir. Who seconded?
I'll
I
second that acknowledgement.
Okay, roll call.
Larry,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yeah.
Misty,
Yes.
Tim,
Acknowledged. Yes.
Amber,
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Passes.
Thank you. We'll move on to F, approval of a resolution on a reduction of impact fees for Ruth's Landing. Just to let everyone know that I did send the 7 names to the council that we had already talked to and discussed this with. So would you like to talk? Go right ahead.
I don't have to if everybody wants to approve it. First, I will say, apologize for my attire, but I came back from a softball game, so I tried to get here. I did not play, but I wanted to, what's that? And I appreciate Mark filling in for us and also Madeline filling in for us at the Cal meeting for this. I know I had a lot of agenda items for you to review, and I thank you for your time to review this. But this is one of them for the 10% reduction for Ruth's Landing, which was part of the large scale done in January before the impact fees were passed. And so that's what you have before you now. I'll try to answer any questions that you may have.
Any citizen comments?
Citizen comments?
Good afternoon. Kenneth Lovett, 18702 Clearwater. Can we be told who the 7 initial were?
Absolutely. I do not have a problem with that whatsoever. Vapor Maven, the storage units, Old Oak Warehouse, Joe Bumper, Taldo Reynolds, Roos Landing, and Matthias. One of their projects.
Is this the seventh of the seven? This is the last one?
This is the 7 that we,
But Roots Landing that we're talking about right now is the last of those.
Oh, you have a Powell Reynolds in front of it.
no, we have a couple that have not completed.
Okay, at the Cal meeting, somebody had mentioned that this was the end of that list, but this is not the end of the list.
No, sir, we have Taldo Rentals and Roots Landing are the
Okay.
two that I was told.
Well, I said at the
Not.
Cal meeting, and I mean it, if we have said these are the 7, there's the list, these are the 7, there is no further conversation that I need. So I would like to make a motion to approve that 10% reduction.
Second.
Roll call?
Amber,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Tim,
You said 10%.
I'm sorry, what's the reduction? It's a 10%?
10%.
Fee reduction.
I mean, it's not a 10% reduction, it's
It's
10%.
Correct,
10% fee.
that's right.
So
If I didn't say that right, Rhonda, let me know.
resolution says what it says.
Correct,
So we're probably good.
that's fine. Yes, Rhonda.
Mike,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Misty.
Yes.
Motion passes as read.
Okay.
Thank you.
Approval of an ordinance on a rezone for 1668 Kissinger Avenue. Mr. Spurlock.
Okay. Before you is the Planning Commission recommendation, which was approved unanimously at our last previous Planning Commission meeting. You guys understand, I guess, from the Cal meeting, understand the scope of what they're wanting to do. You moved it forward to City Council to vote on. Try to answer any questions if you have them.
I do believe I need Imogen to read this.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Never mind. I do not.
Okay.
I'm good with it.
Citizen?
Citizen comments? Council?
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Daniel,
Yes.
Misty,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes,
Larry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Amber.
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on to H, approval of a resolution.
I'm sorry, I do need to read the
Okay, that,
title.
yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay.
Well, it is an ordinance. Duh.
City of Tontitown, Washington County, Arkansas, an ordinance to rezone approximately 1.94 acres of real property located at 1668 Kissinger Road, parcel number 830-381-56000, from agriculture to residential estates in the city of Tontitown, Arkansas.
What does that acreage say? 1.94?
I
It's
think.
5.94. That is not correct.
5.94 is what mine
we
says.
need to unvote.
So we need to amend that.
Whatever, yeah, well, it needs to be 5.94.
So I'll amend my motion to pass this forward with the correction that it is 5.94 acres.
It's also
ahead.
down in
I'll
section
second
1.
my second.
Roll call?
Daniel,
Yes.
Misty,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes,
Larry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Amber.
Yes.
Now we will move on. H, approval of a resolution authorizing the city of Tontitown to execute a land development agreement with Taldo Reynolds LLC.
Okay, council, as you have before you, was discussed at the Cal meeting as well, the land development agreement between the city and Taldo Reynolds. Everything has been discussed on an changed exhibit, which for some reason did not get in the packet, but you guys do have that in your packet as of today. I did email it out to you as well today. I know it was discussed, what the changes were, and that's what's listed here. The developer is here to discuss if you have any questions, but I know this was discussed at council. I'll try to answer any questions if you have.
All right, first we'll go to citizens' comments. Do you have any comments?
Kenneth Lovett, 18702 Clearwater. I hadn't been privy to all the information that everybody has, but one concern is the cost of the, what is it, the sewer that's going to that property. I know Tontitown thought they had it originally running to that point, but it's 106,847.65, and we've kicked that around several times. One time, Mr. Taudo, in his first meeting, I heard he said, well, I'll just quit this, like he's doing us a favor. But $106,000 is not a favor. In the last meeting, we talked about 50% being, whether it's favoritism or what, 50% would make more sense than $106,000. Thank you.
Any other citizen comment? Council? Imogen, do you want to go ahead and you want to read that one?
The resolution?
You won't need to read the resolution.
No, it's a resolution.
The other one had resolution on it as well.
I make a motion to approve. I feel like this was talked a lot last.
About?
Is your mic on, Misty?
Yep,
Okay.
sorry. I make a motion to approve.
I will second.
Roll call?
Misty?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
Amber?
Yes.
Tim?
No.
Larry?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, go on to I. Approval of an ordinance to amend Development Code 152.151, Design Standards for LSD. Mr. Spurlock.
Okay, your next several ordinances that you see were things we discussed to amend the code, and with the help of Planning Commission, which had reviewed this. Also, Imogen has done a great job and helped preparing this for you guys to review. The next few items are things that we feel benefit more or less to tighten up our codes, so we don't have a lot of people coming back where we see little gray areas. So I know you guys had a chance to review this as well, so I'll try to answer any questions over the next few items that you see before you. And these will have to be read.
An ordinance.
Go ahead.
I can go ahead.
Yes, Imogen, please.
City of Tontitown, Washington County, Arkansas, an ordinance to amend section 152, 151, design standards for large-scale developments of the Tontitown Municipal Code, declaring an emergency and for other purposes.
Thank you. Do I have any citizen comments?
James Dean, 1025 Trailwood Street. Not a comment, but a question. If you guys codify this tonight, it goes into effect, there's no grandfathered in, correct? Like you just grandfathered in these 7 properties. I want to make sure that this is the code going forward, even if they've already got their LSD in, that they have to adhere to these standards.
Fantastic question.
Imogen, would you be able to answer that?
Everything that's previously been approved under the past code would be grandfathered in, so they would not have to make a change.
Thank you.
And as of now, we don't have any current LSDs on file, so everything going forward should adhere to these codes.
Great.
Council?
Well, I'll make a motion to approve this first ordinance.
Second.
Roll call?
Mike?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Amber?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
Misty?
Yes.
Emergency clause?
Emergency clause?
Make a
I'll make-
motion to accept the emergency clause.
Second.
Roll call?
Mike?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Amber?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
Misty?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, we'll move on to J. Approval of an ordinance to amend Development Code 152.160 improvements. Imogen, would you read that, please?
City of Tontitown, Washington County, Arkansas, an ordinance to amend Chapter 152, Development and Subdivision Regulations of the Tontitown Municipal Code in order to establish regulations for minimum improvements by application type, declaring an emergency and for other purposes.
Hey, do I have any citizen comments? Seeing none, council?
Just a reminder, this is the one that adds the complete new section 1.52.165, sorry. I'll make a motion that we approve.
I will second.
Roll call?
Tim,
Yes.
Amber,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Misty,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Larry.
Yes.
Emergency clause.
Emergency clause, please.
Make a motion to approve the emergency clause.
Second.
Roll call?
Tim,
Yes.
Amber,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Misty,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Larry.
Yes.
Okay,
Motion passes.
we move on.
Meeting's over.
My time is up. We'll move on to K, approval of an ordinance to amend Development Code 152.240, signs, numbers. Mr. Spurlock.
Did she read it first?
Oh, would you like to go ahead and read that, Imogen? Thank you.
City of Tontitown, Washington County, Arkansas, an ordinance to amend section 152-240, signs, numbers, and system maintenance of the Tontitown Municipal Code, declaring an emergency and for other purposes.
Any citizens have any comments? Seeing none, council?
I make a motion to approve. This is important for safety as well as needed.
I'll second that.
Roll call?
Larry,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Misty,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Amber,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
emergency clause.
Emergency clause?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Larry,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Misty,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Amber,
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Approval of an ordinance to amend Development Code 152.178, tree planting and maintenance removal. Imogen, would you mind reading that, please?
City of Tontitown, Washington County, Arkansas, an ordinance to amend section 152-178, tree planting, maintenance, and removal of the Tontitown Municipal Code, declaring an emergency and for other purposes.
Do I have any citizens that would like to speak on this? Seeing none, council?
Make a motion that we approve.
Second.
Roll call?
Amber,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Misty,
Yes.
emergency clause.
I'll make a
Emergency.
motion to approve.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Amber,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Misty.
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on to M.
Passes.
We'll move on to M, an approval of an ordinance to amend Development Code 90.500.6, curb and gutter. Imogen, would you mind reading that, please?
City of Tontitown, Washington County, Arkansas, an ordinance to amend section 90-506, curb and gutter of the Tontitown Municipal Code, declaring an emergency and for other purposes.
Okay, do I have any citizens that would like to comment on this? Seeing none, council?
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Daniel,
Yes.
Misty,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Amber,
Yes.
emergency clause.
Emergency clause.
I'll make a motion for the approve the emergency clause.
Second.
Roll call?
Daniel,
Yes.
Misty,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Amber.
Yes.
Motion passes.
N, approval of a final plat resolution. Mr. Spurlock.
Okay, just back up just one thing. We do have a couple more ordinances that we'll be changing for zoning. That does have to have a public hearing. So we'll do that, and Planning Commission's already heard. We'll do a quick public hearing through Planning Commission, and then we'll be coming to you guys to discuss as well. But so thank you for that. Next thing that you have is the resolution for the final plats. This has been vetted properly. Hope that you guys have found everything okay with it, and look for approval with this.
Do you have any citizen comments on this? Council?
I'm glad we're not gonna beat this horse to death like we did others. I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Misty,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Amber,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Larry.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, approval of amending the agenda and minutes for the special city council meeting on September 3rd, 2024, and the city council meeting on February 18th, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call?
Amber,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Misty.
Yes.
Motion approves.
Move on to P, an approval of an ordinance authorizing the assurance of sales and use refunding and improvements bond and declaring of an emergency.
Why didn't we see this at the cow?
That I do not know. Mr. Latham.
This was placed on the agenda in case they were going to sell the bond, so there's no action on this tonight. As you know, the bond market's kind of wild right now, if you haven't watched it. I happen to be down in Hot Springs at a convention, and Kevin was down there with me, and he and I were kind of watching what's going on with the bond market. So at this point, they have not requested to sell them. So we're not going to take any action on any of this. We'd have to have the numbers, you guys to see them before we take any action on it. Okay?
So we're
No,
dropping this?
no.
Well, we need to table it.
We might be asking you for a special meeting because the timing, as you guys know, on these bond issues are quick to action. But there has been no sale of those bonds as of yet.
So what is
So-
our actions for this tonight?
It's just tabled because there's nothing for
We
you
need
to
to make a
vote on.
motion to table it. I make a motion to
when?
table. Well,
Wait,
Do you need to know when we table that to, Mrs. Artemani?
No, I don't think so. You just bring it up
Table's
at
indefinite.
the cow or
Unless
whenever
we put it at a
it's
place.
ready.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah. Table it
I make a
till-
motion to
Table
table.
until we sell them.
And I'll second that
Shall we
motion.
sell?
We got a motion and a second.
roll
Okay,
call.
who was the motion?
Me.
Misty. Second,
Tim?
Roll call.
Daniel,
Yes.
Misty,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Amber. Motion table passes.
Mike went off.
Q,
Yes, Q. I did want to let the council know that Mr. Fod has been working very hard on watching where these bonds are. And last week, whenever we were going to go ahead and go through with this and put it on the meeting, he said, let's hold off. And he said, no, go ahead. And he said, anyway, it's kind of been going back and forth. So he asked us to go ahead and wait a couple more weeks so we can see where everything is going to fall and if it'll stabilize out a little bit with the bond, with the tax. So wanted to let you guys know that. We'll move on to Q. City of Tontitown, which is, I'm sorry, Imogen, would you mind reading that? I was going to read the whole thing.
I do not have a queue, I'm sorry.
It is the one that I handed you right before.
oh, of course.
That's a resolution.
It's a resolution.
Yeah.
You don't
It's
need
a
to read it.
resolution.
I
I can-
read the resolution.
No, I don't need to.
Okay. All right, a resolution to authorize the purchase of one used 2023 Nissan Frontier from Superior Nissan and the Tontitown's Community Development Department. Mr. Latham, did you want to speak on this?
Well, I can tell you, we've been kind of around the world trying to find a vehicle for the community development. By the way, I know Daniel had sent me another one that he had found. Specifically, has a little less miles. It's not a four-door. It's a hatchback type deal or whatever they call them. It is actually used not only by the inspector, but it's also can be used for community development. Brad and them will drive around, take a look at some of the subdivision developments that's going on. So having a four-door vehicle would be the best. we are replacing, a lot of these vehicles come down from, I've been there, I've been in the Parks Department and getting old police cars. So this has been transferring down basically probably through water and sewer and eventually gets to it. He's driving a vehicle that's got over 133,000 miles on it. It's becoming not reliable. We had in our budget, we had $35,000 in the fixed asset for it. So I'm recommending that we go ahead and move forward on this so we can get this purchased so it doesn't sell out the next couple of days like the other one did.
So there's $35,000 in the budget and it costs $29,427. Is that right?
Citizen comment.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, citizen
I
comment.
apologize.
No worries.
I live here.
Seeing
Your
none.
mic's down there then.
Council?
Yeah, the previous question. So there's $35,000 in the budget. This costs $29,427. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Before we do that, can I do some more discussion on it? So yeah, to Mr. Latham, the other one came before us, and I did some research on that, and I could not find that truck to look it over and look at pictures, get all the good stuff. So it had sold instantly. Then we kind of waited, and then this kind of fell onto our lap relatively quick. I noticed I just have some hesitancy with the mileage on it, buying it used. So I thought this was replacing Mr. Duncan's truck. This is replacing the code enforcement's vehicle, correct? Which is
It's replacing the inspectors.
Mr. Duncan's
Inspector
truck.
is under the Community Development
Gotcha.
Department. So therefore, there are times that Roger and Brad and Maddie will go out and take a look at things. So having a 4-door instead of a jump type thing would be better suited
Gotcha.
for
So
the
currently,
department.
Mr. Duncan, the enforcement is driving a
He's driving a
Chevrolet.
police truck, police vehicle.
So the code enforcer is driving one of the police vehicles.
Right.
And
That's
this
not the one
we are talking about the inspector, which is Roger Duncan.
Colorado.
He's driving a pickup truck.
Yes, the
Okay.
Colorado.
So when I got this one, I seen the deep blue, just from an aesthetic point, where, typically all our trucks are white. So when I had gotten this in, I
Yeah.
instantly went, I buy a lot of cars for a lot of people. So I did my quick search and had found a couple comparable trucks. And in my thought process was we were replacing the Colorado, which is an extended cab. So my apologies, I would have made it a 4-door. But when I had done my search, I had found a 2003 with 18,700 miles for 29,000, almost 30,000. A Ford Ranger, that's a 21 with 33 for 30. A brand new 25, more warranty for 30,500. And then I also did look into, I was trying to look at different brands, just because I know Nissan doesn't hold their value as good as Chevy, Ford, and Dodge. Not that Dodge is the best, but I found a Ford Maverick that's getting 40 miles to the gallon, brand new for 31,600. So the first vehicle that was brought to us that sold really quick, that was closer to the $30,000 price tag. So I feel like these are all within that. I don't know if the Maverick fits the need of the inspectors.
Is it a 4-wheel drive?
They make them all-wheel drive, which is equivalent to a 4-wheel drive. And I mean, we're talking 40 miles to the gallon versus, I'd have to look into the Nissan, but I don't think it touches. Right here it says 18 to 23. So versus, like I said, 40 on a Ford Maverick. So I just, and after I emailed you on those two trucks, I had called those dealerships up and they still do have those trucks. One's in Ozark and then the other one's here in Bentonville. So I feel like we might be rushing just to grab a truck before they run away, before they sell. But I feel like there's better options out there. Like I said, this Ford Maverick is getting 40 in the city and 34 on the highway. And it's the same. We're talking the other truck that sold was 30,000. This one's 31,600. So for $1,600 more, we can get a better MPG for somebody that's driving around the city day in and day out. And it's new without the 35,000 that the vehicle in front of us has. So I don't know.
I'm not a car guy. You know, I just asked these guys, Scott
Find something.
Artemati went out with him.
Yeah.
They started taking a look at driving around. You know, we don't have a lot of time to, you know, spend. I mean, we got
Absolutely.
inspections to do, and then we also have, Scott's got his work, so I think they took off one rainy day and decided to maybe go take a look at some things. So, I mean, I'll follow whatever you guys want to do.
Well, I don't mind voting no on the thing that I just suggested we pass if we can find something. You know, part of the reason why I'm quick to jump to it is the money is there and they need it.
Right.
I don't know that how urgent the need is. And, you know, when we go through the normal process of Cal to council, sometimes we miss some opportunities. With that said, we always want to get the best value, the best truck we can get for the, you know, the right price. And Danny, sorry, Councilman, I very much appreciate the time that you've put into this. So again, I'm amenable, but I'd love to hear what other people have to say.
Mike?
How big's the need? How big is the need? I mean, do we
Pressing.
need pressing? Yeah, urgent.
I would say it's urgent, but, you know, we'd like to get something here within the next few
Well-
weeks, that's for sure.
So,
I mean, one of the things that we need from you all is some direction on what you want us to do. I mean, we'll do whatever you want us to do. We brought you this bid, and we felt like,
well, the one thing that we were discussing this before we started, because you had a truck kind of yanked out from under you. And what are some ways that we can prevent that from happening in the future? And really, I think the only way to address that is changing the statutory spending limits or discretionary spending limits that department heads and the mayor has.
well, I mean,
Or maybe this is another option. And I don't know, council, may be able to address, let's say we approve $33,000 tonight for you to go find the truck that you want. And we don't have to put it in a resolution for a specific vehicle. We were authorizing the department to go out and buy the truck
okay.
with that. I don't know if that's something that's even legally permissible for us to do without a specific vehicle in mind, but they do have the money in the budget for fixed assets. This is obviously a fixed asset. So if it's not an emergency, if it's not exactly what you want, I don't see a problem with waiting, but I don't know if we can do that or not.
I know that what we can do is if Mark does go out and find something, or Roger or Scott, if they go out and find something, we can call a special if council is okay with that.
I don't have a problem with that, but I also don't have a problem with authorizing them to spend
Up to $35,000.
up to their limit that they have for the asset.
Legal?
I don't see an issue with that.
Okay, thank you.
That way, if they don't exactly want this truck, and if there are other options that they want to pursue, then, I mean, that's up to you, Mr. Latham. If y'all want, if this is what you want, I mean, we've got the money, it's in the budget, it's there, but if you're willing to take the other option of, we can authorize up to your fixed asset limit to purchase.
I think our best option would be what you just said.
Okay.
That way, we could take a little bit of time. Danny said there's other options out there specifically. That way we can get a contract and then go ahead and get the check written, and then we don't have to worry about a cow meeting and all this kind of stuff. We just go, that's fine.
Very happy with that. So.
Things that I've done in the past by purchasing vehicles, you know, I'll throw down I'll tell the dealership, I'll throw down $1,000 non-refundable, deposit on the vehicle to, hold the vehicle, and I have first right of refusal. So that way, if, like, I just found a truck here that's in Tulsa. It's a Nissan 4-door. It's got 22,000 miles on it versus 35, and it's equivalent to the price. I think it's $200 cheaper than the 29,427 in front of us, but that doesn't have the title, servicing, and handling fee. So I'm sure that's another 129. That's pretty standard.
Yeah.
So it'll probably even out to the same amount. The only difference is I'm assuming this truck is somewhere here local. That one is an hour-and-a-half drive away, which is actually not that bad. If they want to hop in with me, I go back and forth to Stillwater all the time, and they can grab it, bring the check, and I'll drop them off, and they can come back home, and I'll keep on going. I didn't know why we're throwing our attention to a Nissan if there was a reason to that truck, whereas I'm really trying to advocate for a Ford. Right, and a Ford Maverick, has the truck bed capabilities, has the crew cab, and is getting 40 to 36 miles to the gallon. And that's a really great thing for efficiency and consumption here for the city. So I would encourage, to look towards if that's what you can, if you can use it. If you can't, and there's a reason where a Nissan Frontier or something equivalent to that is, so I say we're able to, you should be able to put a $1,000 deposit or some kind of nominal deposit to hold a truck, and it be under that $20,000 threshold.
All right. If we want
Vote
to,
on the first one, right?
We still have to vote on the first one, yes. And I'm totally fine.
Okay,
with what
on
Danny
the
suggested.
motion on the floor. Okay, I didn't.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Tim can amend his motion to the spending limit if that's the way you guys want to go. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I would like to amend.
Imogene, is that correct before I?
Yeah, so we can do an oral motion now to authorize the 33,000, and then once they have picked out a truck, we'll do a resolution to ratify their exact purchase.
Thank you.
So you made,
Tim made the
Tim's
motion.
ever seconded?
Well,
Misty.
it was seconded, but I'd like to amend it to spend up to the 35,000 they have set
Okay.
aside.
I'll second again.
Okay,
okay, so authorizing Mark to purchase a vehicle up to the $35,000 spending limit.
Is this correct?
Yeah,
Correct.
but I'd like,
We had a motion and a second. Roll call.
it's fine.
Misty,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Amber,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
passes.
Okay. Comments from Alderman. We'll start with Mr. Wishkowiak.
Well, I was hoping Emily was still here because I was going to tell her Mr. Montez is an expert on fake food, so
Oh, my.
I forgot about
That's a
that one.
good one.
I had to throw that one in there. Sorry, Mr. Montez.
That was
Um,
very good, Mike.
You might have to give some reference to what you're talking about.
Nothing. he's
Not everybody
talking
out
about
there
anything.
may know.
He can explain when he gets his turn.
I will be glad to explain. So on April Fool's Day, we had coffee and conversation at the winery. And they had made some delicious looking brownies out of sponges. And Mr. Montez was able to take
I was a victim.
big,
I was a victim. I,
so that's what Mr. Wojtkowiak
Oh,
is talking about, the fake food.
Other than that, I thanks everybody for coming out. There's a lot on the agenda, but we hashed out most of the things at the CAL, which, appreciative for that. I guess that's all for me tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Burris.
Thanks. I noticed our current fire chief, Chief Krug, had a special guest with him this evening. I don't know if you guys met him or not. Perhaps our future fire chief, Toby Krug. So thank you, Toby Krug, for making your way out. I appreciate having you here. Also, I'd like to thank Deacon Dan Hennessy from St. Joseph's Catholic Church for leading us in an opening prayer. I very much appreciate that. Also, I understand that there were some complaints to the city over the last week, and fellow council members, myself included, about a Facebook post, and I wanted to take a moment to apologize for any confusion about that post. The Community of Tontitown Facebook page is not the city's official Facebook page. It's run by a private citizen, and it contains their own personal views and beliefs, and the city's official Facebook page is called the City of Tontitown. The city doesn't have an association with that other page. I don't even know what they post because I've never visited the page, and I'm actually blocked from the page. It's confusing, and I apologize for any confusion. Our genuine Facebook page is an administrative page. It's run by the mayor and her staff, and citizens who have any questions, please contact the mayor's office. But again, I'm so sorry to citizens who were offended by the contents of that private post. To receive actual updates about our city, you can go to the city's website at www.tontitown.com, or you can subscribe to receive citywide text messages by texting the word Tontitown to 91896.
Thank you, Mr. Burris. Mr. Artemani.
Not a lot. I do want to address one thing, and if somebody that has official capacity in the city tells somebody something, I'm going to stand behind that person even if it's wrong. And that's, now if I tell you something and it's beyond my realm or scope, it's just a wild guess. But if somebody in official capacity tells you something, I'm going to stand behind them even if it's wrong. And that's one of the things that occurred tonight. And, you know, that's just part of life. We can't be right all the time. And I'm sorry for that. And other than that, thanks everybody. And as Mike said, we hash out a lot of things in Cal, and it looks like we really rush through things sometimes, but we've already talked about it at length a lot of times. So that's why it looks like we're just rushing through here. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mrs. Ibarra.
No, just thank everyone for coming out. Miss Nina, I'm getting ready to send you that email with all of our email addresses. And thanks to Mr. Hudson for his comments on helping us clarify some verbiage. So that's it.
Absolutely. All right, Ms. Piazza.
Thank you everyone for coming out tonight. I just want to do a call out for the Peel Museum, PEEL, up in Bentonville. We try to take 2 field trips as a board to go see other museums and get out and learn locally. And it's really neat. It's got a lot of history about Northwest Arkansas. So if you've never been, I encourage you to go up. It's free to look at it. And right now the tulips are absolutely gorgeous. But just get out and learn your history. But thank y'all for coming out tonight.
All right, Mr. Montez.
I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Have a safe trip home. I did, while I was up here looking, back at the food permit stuff, I had went and found the data scout map and found the 2 entities. So if our inspector, code enforcement inspectors listening, we've got XL Carbon LLC and L&L Metal Fab. Those are the 2 entities, one of them without a building on it, that is currently in possession of 2 food truck permits and an ice machine. That's not a vending machine. So we can look into that and see what is going on with that. If we're not allowed to have one on the other side of town, I just don't feel it's fair for another business to have that. And that's, I'll close.
All right. Comments from the mayor. Okay. I received several comments this week, and I'm very, very excited about them. I wanted to share them with you. I received an email that says, I want to take a moment to appreciate the team for their commitment to Tontitown communities and hard work. I believe it to be Scott Artemani and the team who cleared Arlington Way after the last snowstorm. They were out there recently mowing and taking care of the creek. Please appreciate them on our behalf. I certainly will when I see them. They are truly appreciated. Regards, Latanya from Barrington Heights, PO President. I also received a text message from a citizen on Saturday letting me know that the water was flowing and that she appreciated the street department for all the hard work that they do to make their area safe. And I just want to thank Scott Artemani and his team for doing such an excellent job to keep Tontitown at its best. Also want to thank Miss Luann Jennison and Madeline Parker. They have gone above and beyond this week, helping get out the agenda. Brad, thank you for helping put it all together as well. I really appreciate everybody that just working together to make things flow whenever we are out one person. So thank you, council, and you guys have a great evening. I'm now going to turn it over to attorney. Do you have any comments?
No comments.
All right.